So what is tenacious proximal fusion is? Tenacious proximal fusion is it's the strong ability of the eye to give a fusional response when we have an awareness for a near object. So when we see something is near, our brain tries to fuse the image and form a proper image. That is tenacious proximal fusion. So in such cases, even if there is an outward deviation, since we see a near object and our eye has this tenacious proximal fusion, it will try to fuse the images, it will try to converge, and thus the deviation will appear less at near. So in such cases, the near deviation will be less than the distance deviation, and the difference will be more than 10. But then how do we identify it? Why is it not a true divergence axis? So in such cases, we do an occlusion test or a patch test for 30 to 45 minutes. So what we do is we occlude one of the eye for 30 to 45 minutes. It's a monoocular occlusion. So when we do this, before removing the patch, we keep a paddle occluder in front of the other eye so that the patient doesn't fuse, and then remove. This is like, we know that we do all these tests with giving the refractive correction to the patient. So the true deviation we can know after this patch or the occlusion test. So after the patch or the occlusion test, the latent or the entire deviation, the total deviation we'll get. Now we'll know that the near deviation, the deviation for near is much more than what was seen earlier. So now the difference will be less than 10. So if the difference is less than 10 post patch occlusion, then we call it a simulated divergence axis with tenacious proximal fusion, also called as pseudo divergence axis. Okay, the third is simulation divergence axis with high AC by A ratio. So what is high AC by A ratio is? There is more accommodation, there is excess accommodation. So what happens is, when you are looking at near, there is an excess accommodation. Again, similarly, the deviation, the outward deviation will be masked. So how do we see the actual deviation at near? What we give is +3 add. So when we are giving a +3 add, we are actually making the eye myopic. So now the accommodation will be relaxed. Now since the accommodation is relaxed, we know the actual deviation that is there at near. Okay, now if the difference between